Yo guys, so get this. We just drove 8 hours, 16 total if you count there and back, to go to a regional in Layton, Utah, and we ended up going undefeated, winning the mat, winning this awesome dex box here, which I don't know yet if I'm going to use or if I'm just going to keep sealed. Don't know yet. With none other than Atlantean Mermails, which in my opinion is water infernobles. Before I go on into this, I know they've been a lack of uploads and stuff. That's simply because I've been doing a lot of isolated testing with this deck for the past few weeks. I made like a community post just so people would know, hey, channel's not dead, channel's not dying. I just really wanted to focus on this event, like really grind. And that was like the whole point of didn't go to locals. I ended up just getting a few of my good testing buddies, all the guys that are going to the regional, and we just sat and did isolated testing. I didn't want to like go to locals, play, casual like players, play like I wanted to sit down with some of the better players that I knew that I could sit across from and just get in and grind and learn my deck and learn interactions. And essentially that's what we did, and it paid off, man. I ended up going, like I said, 7-0. I have all my matchups right here on my phone. If you guys have not seen, I did put a community post up showing you guys, like, I'll even put up here somewhere on the screen the placing and stuff like that. But round 1 was against Voiceless Voice. Not really a meta deck, but you know what, man? It's all right. I mean, it's still like, it plays a lot of non-engine, so you still have to combat that. Round 2, I have no idea what the guy was playing. I went Minstrel to look at the hand. He scooped, and then game 2, he opened literally every card that's like non-engine. Strike, Judgment, Ash, Cross Out, Effect Veiler, and we just played through that and got him there. Still don't know what he was playing. He was, GG and left. Round 3 was White Forest. Round 4 was Blue Eyes. Round 5 was Ryziel Fiendsmith. Round 6 was Melodious, which that profile is already up on the channel if you guys want to check that out. She ended up getting 7th place, if I remember correctly. And then the final round for all the marbles was pure Ryziel. I was very fortunate to dodge Malice because Shifter is a heck of a card. But, however, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. A lot of very rogue matchups, like aside from Voiceless Voice and maybe the Unknown. Lord, maybe I was lucky and the Unknown was Malice and I just happened to, like, get it, But without that being said, really most of the meta or the cards I play was like literally the best decks. Like Ryziel, I played like the best deck. No Malice, so I skipped the second, then played like 3rd and 4th, possibly the 5th and 6th, like best decks. Voiceless is completely like down there, but again, it's still there. But anyway, I want to give a huge shout out to like the people who deserve it. My buddy Caleb, my buddy Jason, my buddy Gus. Like they were the ones that grinded with me and tested. A huge shout out to the YouTube resources such as Deep Sea YuGiOh. He was like a huge resource when learning this deck. I literally learned one combo and just went with it. And then just watching his videos, watching other YouTubers, which I can't remember the name of at the moment. But watching their content and learning allowed me to help learn this deck better. And that's what a huge thing about, like, I feel like the community is about, man, is being a resource for learning players and new players and everything. So we'll go ahead and jump into my list here. It's 41. However, I do want to go ahead and say that I would like to make it 42, and I would like to add in Triana. So this will probably go in here. I didn't play this card because I already thought I was at 42, and I didn't want to go above 42. However, I'm bad at math, so I was at 41. And if I'd known, I would have put this in because I did this card. I missed this card quite a bit. And so just for future reference, this card will probably go in going off from there. But let's go ahead and jump on into the list, right? So, of course, it's water. Essentially, this deck reminds me a lot of old school Infernobles, and that's what gravitated me towards it. And also, it's just one of a good deck to play. It was either going to be this or like White Forest was an option, but I've mastered fire. I want to move on to water, right? So I think I already said that in the previous profile. Not really a lot has changed, but I would like to just go over, like, it is kind of unconventional, considering if you see all the other topping Mermail lists, there is like a slight thing, but anyway, let's just go ahead and jump on into the deck profile, right, guys? So without explanation, 3 prints. This card is literally insane. Sin for Cost is wild. 1-card combo. And this is like the only 1-card combo in the deck, but most of your 2-card combos get to this, which is wild. To pair it off, you have triple Dragoons, triple Shrine. I know in the OCG, I know this deck is potentially on the chopping block for the ban list. I think what we're going to see is a very similar thing that happened to the OCG, where they go after Toad. And that does suck, but I mean, like, the deck still is doing stuff in the OCG with Toad gone, so that's, like, bright for us. But Shrine is, I think, you want to beat Droll, and it's like, if you're playing the Coelacanth build, you got to play 3 Shrine. Triple Shadow Squad. This card is pretty cracked too, just summoned from the deck. It's pretty wild. And then we got the triple Pike, which you got to play 3 Pike if you're on the Coelacanth. I mean, not really much more can be said. If you're playing Coelacanth, you got to play this. I did play around with cutting it down, but then if you open one, it just feels lackluster. If Coelacanth resolves, like through Droll and like through Shifter, you're more likely going to win. So I mean, that's pretty cool. Triple Teus. This card I have a really hate relationship with because I don't want to see multiples of it, but I always see multiples of it. So normally when I was siding, I would side out one Teus just because I didn't want to risk open 2. And then one of the games that I actually lost, no, well, I didn't lose the match because I'm undefeated, but one of the rounds or games I lost was because I opened double Teus one going second, and I was like, wow. And I after post side when I sided one out, so that way I wouldn't see 2, and I saw both of them anyway. So double Poseidra. If anyone ever thinks that this deck can't go second, like, you guys need to relearn, or you guys need to go down to, like, go pay for a Mermail masterclass or something, because, like, Poseidra, the Stormy Atlantean, like, this deck was literally designed to be an OTK deck going, like, when it was, like, came out, and Poseidra literally just gives us a better going second simply because this card solves 2 cards in its own summon while going second, or getting you into engine. Like, it's just insane. And then 1 infantry. Huge shout out to my man Paul. He got me the QCR. Not QCR, the collector rare. Goodness. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. Well, not it for the main deck. All the Mermails and Atlanteans. Now we'll just kind of go on to, like, water good stuff, which I played 3 Minstrel, which this is the thing that was kind of, like, unconventional. Most lists only play 1 because it's searchable, but I found that every time I open Minstrel, I won. So, like, why wouldn't you, like, up it up? And, like, yeah, you can argue that it's a brick, and stuff like that, but it, like, literally triggers all your Mermails. So, like, if you happen to see it in conjunction with, like, Squad or Dragoons, it gets your combo started. It can proceed to, like, get you further, etc. If you see it, like, in conjunction with Prince plus another water, if you see Prince, Minstrel plus water, Prince is going to resolve, and Prince is full combo. So, and then, of course, if you're forced to go, if you, like, lose the die roll and go second, Minstrel plus if you hard open infantry can just, like, allow you to, like, force things and pop boards, which is kind of cool. But not a lot of lists have seen ever playing 3 Minstrel. So this was like the non-conventional thing that I thought was insane. And it made siding out, which was what I was really struggling with siding patterns, and it made siding patterns pretty easy because I sided the 2 Minstrels, 1 Mulling Glacia, and then, like, call by tactics, and 1 Teus out for, like, 6 going second cards when I knew I was going second. So it made my side decking a lot better and a lot easier. Deep Sea Coelacanth for the, like, this card's insane. I should have picked up the ulti while I was there because, it just was doing so good. But this card literally lets you play through Droll and play through Shifter. Shifter's a little bit difficult because, like, you can do something, I think with Shifter, if I remember correctly, you overlay 2 Toads, you can overlay behind, make Toad, then you can go into the Narwhal, and over here for Gyos, so then you end on, like, Toad Gyos through Shifter, which, I mean, is, like, it's okay. But this card is literally insane. I don't understand why the OCG don't play this card. It might be because Max C is over there, or, like, it's still legal over there, but, like, I feel like this card, even if we lose Toad in the ban list, that this card can literally, like, play through, like, so many hand traps. So, like, I don't understand, like, the OCG's logic of not playing this card anymore. But 1 Gluttonous, the Reptilian Greethus. This card is literally, again, this card was wild. Being able to reborn itself back with, or not reborn itself back, excuse me, being able to reborn it with the Marine Cess and then use its effect to, like, start bringing back other cards is, like, phenomenal. It starts, like, no one knows what this card does. So, like, they don't know. As soon as you start monster reborning stuff, like, you push nib. That's literally how I won, I think, my round 4, or, yeah, round 5, excuse me, was, again, using Greethus to be able to, like, push into, like, more bodies so they nib me, so then I can go Poseidra effect to go ahead and, like, combo off. But 1 Sea Cow, not really much can be said here. These are mandatory. This card has existed for a long time, and I might have a biased opinion of this deck just because, like, I'm playing it, but, like, this card's existed so long. I feel like all you guys who are crying about this and, like, Minstrel are, I mean, these cards have existed so, like, for a while, and they never would issue now, but now that the deck got good enough support, and your hand trap heavy deck is getting punished for playing a lot of hand traps, I don't know, man. I feel like when you just Mulling Glacier by itself, it's okay, but it's like when they throw, like, 2 or 3 hand traps at you, 1 to 2 hand traps at you, and then you're still just able to combo because, like, they throw them incorrectly, and you're just able to get to Mull and then rip 2 more cards. Like, they technically can leave themselves for 4, which is kind of wild, but, like, that's your own fault. That's not anything here. But if they are going to touch the deck, I either think that Toad or, like, Minstrel or Glacia will go. I hope that they don't give it, like, the Infernoble treatment and just, like, ban, like, the decks like Isolde. But in the OCG, Toad's gone and the hand rip still exists. So I could foresee them going that route, especially with Ryzel getting access to Toad. But it is definitely a probability they could hit Toad and the hand ripping stuff. I wouldn't put it past Konami to overhit a deck that's underperforming, or that's, like, performing good but not as good as, like, Ryzes or Malice, Ryzel or Malice. I don't know if I said Rallis. We'll move on to the non-engine. Triple Perilia. This card is really good because it's a Mulchami, first off, but it's also water. A lot of times in my testing, I was having bad hands or bricking because I wasn't drawing enough water, so I decided to, like, just play this and not Folaros because I was testing 3 of this 3 Folaros in my main. And though it worked great, I just remember 2 specific times that I did brick because of the CN Folaros and it wasn't a water. But triple Mulchami, triple Ash. Pretty much to hit their Mulchamis, but it is pretty, it's Ash. What more can be said? Impulse, because we don't do anything but like literally water. Like there is no different Fularos maybe, but in that case, if you open Fularos plus Impulse, you just shotgun the Fularos first. Imperm, not really much more can be said. And for the final 2 cards, I was on Triple T and Call By. Not really much to be said here. I've really grown out of playing 2 Triple Ts because like I would always see them either 2 together, or when I would draw 2 off tactics, I would either draw into the other talents, excuse me. So like I really wanted to like minimize that, and I feel like this is like perfect ratio. I enjoy it. It might not be conventional, but for me it's worked out phenomenal. But that is it for the non-engine. Pretty like 14 non-engine is still nothing to like scoff at, especially in a deck this size, but this is the whole engine, right? This is pretty crazy. But the deck performed phenomenal, man. I really have no complaints. The 3 minstrels was like a perfect call in my opinion, because like most of the time my opponents would either open with 1 or 2 hand traps, and then they would hand trap like Netabis, and I'd go Netabis, dump Dragoons for cost, grab minstrel, pitch squads, and look at their hand, rip the other hand trap out of their hand. So like it just worked out pretty well. I think it was a good call, and I think moving forward, I think it might be a pretty good call, because like Blue Eyes and YuGiOh, I mean, like both, I mean, I guess YuGiOh Mouse, all of them like can play a lot of hand traps. Blue Eyes plays the most hand traps, right? But like you need just have a lot of gas and a lot of like ways to like see the hand and stuff like that to like start hand ripping stuff. But moving on to the extra deck here, shout out to him. I ordered this, got it the day we left for the regional. I got it in the mail, so Megalo's still like with us here. So shout out to Ophidian for the field center. But I mean, not much can be said here. We play 1 King, 1 Alacia. These cards are really insane, especially Alacia. It's like the Spear's Pass, but sometimes ending on this is really good, even like in a simplified game state, because if they out this, you can like use this to send the Prince to graveyard, then Prince can reborn Poseidra, and the Poseidra can dump infantry to pop and bounce a card, which not a lot of people thought, but this card's pretty wild. The King's wild. I did miss not having a search target for it, so like I said, now knowing that I was playing 41, I think Triana will go back in to be my 42nd card. 1 YuGiOh, 1 Abyss Right, and 1 Poseidra. So this is it for the Mermail and the Mermail cards, essentially. YuGiOh is insane. I actually, against round 3 against the White Forest, I got punished hard by a Chaos Angel, so I pretty much couldn't out the Chaos Angel because I already threw my 1 Imperm, and he made Chaos Angel, and I literally made pretty much the biggest board I can make, where everything was huge, big enough to still like attack over Chaos Angel, but I also made YuGiOh, so like Chaos Angel couldn't attack me, which is really good. And I ended up, like I said, I won that one because I drug it out to the very last minute till I drew an Imperm. But like I said, this is it for them. Really no complaints. This card is literally insane. Being able to Monster Reborn, and then Poseidra, like this card non-targeting bounces wild. So like, yeah, not really anything different there. Double Toad, double Bahamut Shark. I mean, play these while we can, because like I said, I think that's what they're going to touch on the list is the Bahamut. Or they're going to touch the Awesome. Arguably, you could hit either one of these cards and it would still do the same damage, but I foresee Toad going, even though arguably it shouldn't, but I do understand that if they touch Malice or like YuGiOh, like anyway, like it's the way the game works, right? Moving on, White Aura Porpoise and White Aura Monticeros, the Narwhal. Porpoise never came up. It was kind of like a flex spot in the... I want to have flexibility, like especially when I would potentially Poseidra to be able to reborn back and make Toad. But yeah, White Aura Porpoise never came up like at all. Monticeros did come up quite a bit. I think you could definitely play something else. Maybe possibly the deep... I didn't play the Link 2 Deep Sea King, I think is what it is. A level 2 fish that lets you special summon out like Coelacanth from your hand. Because my logic was I could just pitch Coelacanth and then reborn it off the Shrine, or the Sprite, however you pronounce her thing. Deep Sea Seal King that way. So it never came up, but I do think that it should just be Link 2 that way, because sometimes it's easier to make the Link 2. You're able to get two bodies together versus getting 2 level 7s together, right? So I definitely think that should be that. 1 Sorcerer Chinging. I decided to play this over Arginine just because, like, this card is pretty crazy. It starts lowering attack, it banishes. You have the ability to trigger it during your turn, which is kind of wild. Also, being able to hit Fiendsmith in the graveyard was something I was really wanting to, like, go after. Just because like the Fiendsmith engine is so strong and like it can just facilitate so much. And then continuing on for the synchros, I do have 1 Trishula. This was arguably a flex spot, but like it came up. I was able to Trish my opponent, which I hit like a card in the front row, a card in the hand, and banished Fiendsmith from the graveyard. And then you just go level 7, you turn everything level 7, and you overlay this for YuGiOh, which is pretty insane. So like this and the Porpoise definitely were flex spots, but I definitely do like the Trish. I ain't gonna lie. I do like the ability when you are going second, you're able to shuffle 3 cards back, or up to 3 cards back with Poseidra, link off Poseidra into something, summon back 3 level 3s, you just summon back a tuner, you hard make Trish, and you're solving essentially like almost 6 cards in a way with Trish and Poseidra, which is kind of wild. But yeah, that is it for the synchros. For the final 2 cards, just 1 Dweller and 1 Coral Anemone. I don't think anything really needs to be explained here. Coral Anemone is key part of the combo. Abyss Dweller is Abyss Dweller. I think this card, I have a love-hate relationship with this card. I feel like this card's necessary, but I feel like when the meta decks like they are now are just able to hard make this card so free and so easy, it does punish everything else. So it's like, I don't foresee Konami making the correct decision and like hitting those decks. I see Konami actually, because they want to make money, it's a money game for them. They're going to hit everything else, like Dweller, around it until they push the sales and stuff. We've seen it countless time, man. They'll hit this card, push their sales, and then like a few lists later, they'll bring this card back because it's not needed in any of their, they've made their sales and stuff. But that was it for the extra deck. Not really much more to be said. For my side deck, which I'll show you, it's pretty cookie cutter, man. I think it's just 3 Artifact Lancia, a double Lightning Storm and 1 Harpies. I just wanted to have, like, Lightning Storm's flexible, right? It's just super flexible. And then Harpies just because sometimes, like, you play against, like, Blue Eyes or Rising, they set a bunch of cards. I was on the triple Nib, the triple Fulros, and then the triple Encore. So normally when I was going second, depending on my matchup, the Moltrami always went in, and then any assortment of, like, these cards would go in depending on the matchup. I felt Encore was like better than like Nib because YuGiOh can play underneath Nib by doing like their like duo drive combo, and I actually like that happened to me in my final round where he just played perfectly under the Nibiru. Made sure that on the summon of duo drive he equipped a detonator engraved to it or attached it, and then he detached to searched and then got access to cross, and then the Nib in my head was gone. So I just felt like this was better. I felt like, of course, you do Moltrami plus Lancia for that way. And then if you're playing against Nib, I feel like, or not playing against Nib, you're playing against Blue Eyes. Nib's not that good because they can play underneath of it, or they'll put spears up. You go Moltrami plus like this route here. So I just had like a lot of like flexibility. And when I didn't really feel like I need anything going first. I mean, I guess arguably Encore could go in going first because it's a quick play. But I felt like going first, like my main deck was so geared to and so built perfectly to that I didn't need to worry about going first cards. You know, with lack of better, you know, to be honest, like, I'm going first. If I do full combo, you're not going to be able to play or out my board, even with, like, Dark Ruler or, like, droplets and stuff like that. And before people come in and be like, well, if they Dark Rule your board, listen, man, you have, like, the ability to... There's so much more layer on the inboard than, like, double Toad after hand ripping, right? It's normal inboard I ended on quite a bit was the Mermail King. I'll show you real quick. I ended on Double Toad, Gaios, and this. And they normally have sometimes just 2 cards in hand or 3 cards. And like even if you have Dark Ruler and you do Dark Ruler this right here, like you still have it if you did your combo correctly. You have Prince in hand along with Shrine in the graveyard. And then you have Poseidra in the graveyard as well. Or as soon as I find it, there you go. You have like this setup as your inboard. So then they Dark Ruler... You still have 2 forms of disruption because, like, at any moment you feel free, you can just chain Shrine, pitch Prince, draw a card, and then Prince will reborn out the Poseidra, and the Poseidra can target a card on field, send for cost the infantry, at worst case infantry, or probably best case infantry, or you can send Dragoons to, like, recur engine, send this, and then you're bouncing a card, then this will pop a card. So, like, even through Dark Ruler, you have 2 forms of disruption, which is kind of, like, insane. But... yeah, so the deck performed phenomenal. Like I said, 7-0. You know what, guys, like, to be completely honest with you, it's one thing to top a regional, but when you, like, completely win one, it's an entirely different feeling. It feels really surreal, especially because I don't think anyone ever goes in, like, with the mindset of, like, I'm going to win the whole thing. They go in with, like, I really just want to top. And I don't know how to describe it, man. Months, or, you know, a month of, like, play testing and just grinding. Like, I sat down, dude, and I was just clocked in. But anyway, with that being said... We're set to go to nationals, and pretty much now that all that, like, the regional's over with, we'll just expect now more content. Like, I'm getting ready to, like, start uploading more point of view duels, probably do a lot more, like, stuff that the channel was, like, you know, known for doing, combo tutorials, test hands, all that stuff. My work's changing now too, which is like a huge plus. I'm like not gonna have to be working as much, so that's just a huge plus as well. It gives me more time to stream and do stuff for you guys. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, huge shout out to Games Den down in Layton, Utah for hosting the event. You know, huge shout out again to like all the friends, supporters, all that stuff. But yeah, this is Charles from Team COG signing out.